Good day, nurses. Now let's discuss aplastic anemia. So pag sinabi natin aplastic anemia, this is a bone marrow failure disorder where the marrow becomes hypocellular. Pag sinabi natin hypocellular, that is empty. Okay, nawawalan daw ng laman ang ating bone marrow. Bakit? Dahil siya ay napapalitan ng taba. Okay, napapalitan siya ng fat. Bakit siya napapalitan ng fat? Kasi yung ating cell or yung ating body attacks stem cell. Yung ating katawan attacks the stem cell, sinisira yung stem cell. Remember that stem cell ang pinanggalingan ng ating mga blood cell. Doon sa red marrow, nagproproduce siya ng stem cell, your hematogenous stem cell. This hematogenous stem cell, sinisira siya at pag nasira siya, nawawalan ng laman ang ating red marrow at napapalitan siya ng taba. Okay? So pag walang laman ang ating marrow, syempre hindi siya makakapag-produce ng RBC. Hindi siya nakakapag-produce ng WBC at di rin siya nakakapag-produce ng platelet. So, kung decrease ang RBC niya, okay, this can lead to anemia. Pag decrease ang WBC, this is leukopenia. And kapag decrease ang platelet, this is thrombocytopenia. Okay? So, what are the possible risk factors kung bakit nasisira ang ating hematogenous stem cell? Una, because of drugs. Okay? Because of drugs. Ano yung mga drugs natin? We have your chemotherapy. Second one, we have your chloramphenicol. Your NSAIDs, your anti-seizure. Okay, so yan yung mga medication kung bakit isa or bakit nasisira yung ating marrow at nasisira si hematogenous stem cell. Next one, because of radiation exposure. Okay, your radiation exposure can destroy the red marrow or the hematogenous stem cell. Next, we have your autoimmune. Pag autoimmune, sarili nating katawan ang umaatake doon sa ating red marrow. Next, we have your viral head infection. We have your hepatitis, your EBV. Your EBV, or also known as the Epstein-Barr virus. Epstein-Barr. Tama ba? Yes, virus. Okay. Your Epstein-Barr virus or yung cause ng herpes. Okay? Your herpes. Okay? Ito yung cause ng herpes natin. And then, your HIV. Then next, your environmental toxins. Ito yung mga benzene and pesticides. Benzene and your pesticides. Okay? And your no identifiable cause. Okay? So usually, lahat ng ito is because of your chemicals. Okay? Because of chemicals, because of autoimmune, and because of viral infection, nasisira ang ating red marrow. So, kapag once na nasira yung ating red marrow, nagkakaroon, kapag may exposure tayo sa mga ito, ang immune system natin, na-activate siya. Okay? Pag may exposure tayo sa mga yan, our immune system activates. Pag na-activate ang ating immune system, your cytotoxic T cell attacks bone marrow stem cell. Inaatake ni cytotoxic T cell yung ating bone marrow stem cell. kapag once na inatake ni cytotoxic T-cell yung ating stem cell, nagkakaroon ng destruction of hematopoietic stem cell. Pag nasira yung ating hematopoietic stem cell, bone marrow hypocellularity. Ibig sabihin, nagiging empty na siya. Kapag naging empty na siya, papalitan yan ng taba. At kapag naging empty, dahil wala na tayong hematopoietic stem cell, magdi-decrease na yung ating blood cell production. Okay? Magdi-decrease na yung ating blood cell production. So, magdi-decrease si RBC, magdi-decrease si WBC, at magdi-decrease si platelet. Okay. Pag nag-decrease si RBC, that can lead to anemia. Si WBC, leukopenia. At si platelet, thrombocytopenia. So, ibig sabihin, nagkakaroon tayo ng polycythemia. Okay? Pancytopenia pala. It's pancytopenia. Ibig sabihin ng pancytopenia, decrease lahat ng blood cells natin. So, pag nagkaroon ng anemia, ito na yung ating manifestation. Fatigue, pallor, dyspnea, and tachycardia. Okay? Decreased WBC, nagkakaroon tayo ng fever, recurrent infection, sore throat, and sepsis. Next, your platelet. Ayan. Yung platelet natin, okay, nagkakaroon ng rashes, your purpura, your epistaxis, bleeding, menorrhagia, and prolonged bleeding. Okay? So, yan yung mga manifestation natin ng ating, what we call this one, ng ating aplastic anemia. So, what are the diagnostic procedure? Una, we have your CBC. Makikita natin sa CBC, low RBC, low WBC, and low platelet count. Makikita din natin na low reticulocyte count. Remember yung reticulocyte natin, these are your immature RBC. Diba? Lumalabas na sila yan sa ating bone marrow 1 to 2 days. Nag-i-stay sila sa ating blood para mag-absorb ng iron. So, bumababa din yung immature RBC natin kasi nga, nawawala si stem cell, which is doon siya galing. Then, sa bone marrow biopsy natin, makikita natin may hypocellular marrow with fat. This is the hallmark for your aplastic anemia. Okay? So, next, your management. Okay. Management natin, una, we have your bone marrow. Bone marrow transplant. Okay, this is the management, your bone marrow transplant. Pag sinabi natin bone marrow transplant, this is the treatment of choice. Okay, this is the treatment of choice for your aplastic anemia. Okay, so meron tayong tinatawag na, these are your donors. Your allogenic donors, your autologous donor, and your syngeneic donors. Pag sinabi nating allogenic, okay, your allogenic kasi, ibig sabihin ng allo means other. Pag sinabing allo, means other. Ibig sabihin, yung bone marrow galing sa ibang tao. Okay? Yung bone marrow galing sa ibang tao. Okay? Non-related. Okay, so another ibang person siya galing. So pwede din siyang relative or non-relative. Okay? Allogenic. Next naman natin, we have your autologous. Pag sinabi nating auto, means self. Okay? Means self. So, ibig sabihin, kinokollect natin yung stem cell or yung bone marrow sa mismong pasyente. Okay? So, ginagawa natin to, okay, parang sinisave natin. Sinisave natin yung stem cell ng pasyente natin. Okay? Before pa lang siya masira, kinukuha mo na siya. Okay? So, kinukuha mo na siya. That is autologous. So, si autologous natin, So, this is a, pag autologous ang ginamit mo, negative yan sa rejection. Siyempre, sarili mong marrow ang gamit. Next, your syngenic. Pag sinabi naman nating syngenic, from the word syn. Okay, syn means same genetic material. Okay, same genetic material, usually ginagamit to kapag identical twin. Okay, so no signs of of rejection. Okay, no signs of rejection dito kasi same naman yung genetic materials na gamit. Okay, so that is your bone marrow transplant. So kapag bone marrow transplant yan, class, lalo na kapag galing yan sa others. Okay, pag galing yan sa others, kailangan natin ng immunosuppressive therapy. Lifetime immunosuppressive therapy. Meron tayong dalawa. Your anti-lymphocyte globulin or your ALG, to suppress immune system. Okay? To suppress immune system. So, bakit kailangang isuppress yung immune system? Remember, class, galing siya sa ibang tao. So, ma-identify ng katawan natin yung nilagay natin na bone marrow as foreign bodies. Kaya kapag malakas ang immune system mo, aatakehin ni bone marrow, ni fighting cell, yung bone marrow na nilagay mo. Kaya magkakaroon dyan ng rejection. Kaya we need to suppress it para hindi i-reject ng ating bone marrow o ng ating katawan yung bone marrow na nilagay mo. Okay? Next, your anti-thymocyte globulin or your ATG. Ito naman is to prevent bone marrow rejection. To prevent bone marrow rejection. Okay? So, this is yung binibigay natin sa pasyente natin pag nag-a-undergo siya ng bone marrow transplant. Next, your blood transfusion. So, blood transfusion natin, meron tayong APA. Okay? Meron tayong blood transfusion. Usually naman dito, PAC-RBC. So, kapag PAC-RBC and whole blood yan, kailangan within 4 hours after mong ilabas sa blood bank, kailangan mai-introduce mo na sa patient. Within 4 hours, dapat maibigay na yan kay pasyente. Next, your platelet or your plasma, dapat yan ay within 20 minutes. Okay? Within 20 minutes yan. So, ano yung ating management kapag magba-blood transfusion tayo? Una, we need to verify doctor's order. Okay? We need to verify doctor's order. Second one, we need to assess the baseline data. Bakit kailangan natin i-assess yung baseline data? Yung baseline data kasi gagamitin natin yan, comparison. Okay? Comparison doon sa, what they call this one? Comparison during blood transfusion. Okay? Para ma-detect natin kung meron bang reaction na nangyayari. Kasi kapag may mag-iiba sa result ng ating what do you call this one, ng ating vital signs. Okay, usually kasi dito your vital signs, your BP, RR, PR, and your BP, PR, RR, temp. Okay, kukunin natin yan una, and then kapag binigay na natin yung blood, kailangan kuhanan ulit natin siya ng vital signs. Tapos, i-compare natin yan. Pag once may nag-iba sa vital signs ng pasyente natin, ibig sabihin, merong transfusion reaction. We need to automatically stop the blood transfusion. Second one, we need to obtain informed consent. Okay? We need to obtain informed consent. Next, we need to have an IV access. Usually, ang ginagamit natin dito is 18 gauge. Okay? Gauge 18. Okay. Gauge 18 ang ginagamit natin dito. And then, we need to to have a blood verification. So sa blood verification class, ginagawa natin to ng dalawang licensed staff. Okay? So yung isa hawak-hawak na yung card at yung isa hawak-hawak na yung blood. So bine-verify natin kung tama ba yung blood na ibibigay natin sa pasyente. So anong kailangan nating i-check? The patient's name, the serial number, the RH compatibility, the cross-match label, and the expiration date. Okay? Then prepare equipment. The only IV fluid ang gagamitin natin pag blood transfusion, that's 0.9 normal saline or your PNSS. Gagamitin natin siya for priming and for flushing. And then blood transfusion set with filter. So, ito yung mga kailangan nating gawin. Okay, kapag mag-a-undergo si patient ng blood transfusion. So, usually class, during first 15 minutes, okay, first 15 minutes, kailangan nandun tayo kay patient. Okay, so during the first 15 minutes, kailangan nandun tayo kay patient. Bakit? Okay, this is the highest risk time na tinatawag. Highest risk time. Bakit highest risk time? Okay, dahil dito, pwede mong makita yung reaction. Kung magkakaroon ba ng reaction or allergic reaction sa pasyente mo during the first 15 minutes. Kaya kailangan stay with the client. And we need to monitor the vital signs. After 15 minutes, every 30 minutes nang balik mo. Okay? And then, every 30 minutes, yung end na ng transfusion. Okay? So, diba, dapat 4 hours. So, kung 4 hours yan, first 15 minutes, and then every 30 minutes, and then, yung last, yung end na ng transfusion. Okay? So, ganun tayo mag-check ng vital signs kay pasyente. So, what if merong sabihin na lang natin merong reaction, may difficulty of breathing, merong may fever, may chills, okay, merong itchiness, may back pain, merong nausea and vomiting, okay, automatically you need to stop the transfusion. Okay, stop mo agad yung transfusion at dapat readily available si diphenhydramine. Okay? Dapat readily available si diphenhydramine kasi yun yung gagamitin natin if in case na may allergic reaction. So, sa prepare equipment, dapat readily available your diphenhydramine. Okay? So, yan yung gagawin natin if in case na may blood transfusion ang pasyente. Okay? So, ano yung ating mga nursing intervention? Una, for anemia. Okay, for anemia, administer O2 as ordered kasi nga decrease O2 oxygen. Allow rest periods kapag once na meron siyang activity. Monitor for hemoglobin and hematocrit count. Transfuse pack RBC as ordered. Okay, and then for infection, we need to strict aseptic technique. We need to isolate our patient. Kasi nga, risk siya for infection. Avoid crowded places. Monitor temp regularly. Kasi if in case na may fever, it means may infection si patient. Then avoid fresh fruits, vegetables, and flowers. Kailangan lutuin ng mabuti. Avoid raw foods. Kailangan lutuin ng mabuti yung mga pagkain para hindi magkaroon ng sakit ang pasyente. And for bleeding, we need to avoid aspirin and SEDS. Kasi promotes bleeding. Use of soft bristle toothbrush. Okay? Para hindi magdugo yung gums ni patient. No contact sports. And we need to monitor for signs of bleeding. Huwag mo din papalakarin si patient na nakapaa. Okay? So, yan yung ating management for your aplastic anemia.